Hello everyone, Jose Rodriguez here. It is the 26th of January, Thursday evening. It's around 10 o'clock. So I will not get this video out tonight. I'll probably get it out in the early morning tomorrow. Anyway, I just received shipping notice from Cone Colors Inkjet Mall about the high density matte black ink that they are sending me, along with the two grays that I was missing out of my Cone Color Pro K3 ink set. So I have gone ahead and preloaded some refillables for the R2880 with the Cone Color inks. Tomorrow when they arrive, I will then load the corresponding three colors. The matte black cartridge will be loaded with matte black from the new high density ink. And so that will be a good thing to test. Now, I really don't think it's necessary for me to test the regular matte black from Cone Color. I really don't care about that. I am primarily concerned about the ink set itself because I have never used Cone Color and I want to test it just generally for gloss and color matching and so on. Since I do have the high density black ink tomorrow, I will go ahead and add that to that. But primarily what I'm going to do is actually test my R3000 with and without that special matte black ink. I'm going to go ahead and print several photographs on several types of matte paper using the current OEM matte black. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to that high density black, because what they want you to do is to basically retrofit any Epson printer that you might be using that uses K3 inks to use that black ink. And it will require custom profiling because that's the only way you're going to extract that extra benefit from that black. You will not see the extra gamut in the darkest shadows unless you profile that ink set. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, today I was reading something, and it's a thread that actually got locked by the moderator. And bear with me a couple of minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is a guy that bought a Canon PRISMA Pro 10 and wrote a scathing review to the, I believe it was, what did he say? Amazon? I don't know who he wrote it to. But basically, it goes like this. And you guys know, you've seen my results with the Pro 10. You know that the Pro 10 is an excellent producer of prints. So let me, if I may, this is the same review I left at the Canon site. He went to the Canon site. Should have seen that on top. And as you can see, it says, this thread is locked because it got a little bit out of hand. I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'm going to tell you something. This is the same review I left on the Canon site. I can't tolerate the endless grinding, clunking, and churning, as well as the time it takes to generate a high quality printout. When people use the term printout, they're not really experienced photo printers. You can tell by the language and the choice of words that this guy uses. But the Pro 10 cannot do it. I have struggled with it for over a year, and I have now completely given up. I've used the utterly annoying Canon My Image Garden software. Yeah, let me stop right now and tell you guys something. When you first install a Canon Pro 1, Pro 100, Pro 10, that family of printers, Pro 9500 Mark II, you have setup cards. The setup card chips contain a little code that tells the printer that indeed you installed that printer initially with the proper cartridges. That allows you to use this horrible software, My Image Garden software. That's only for rank beginners, people that don't know anything about printing photos or printing cards. It's one of those little cutesy type programs which really it's totally useless. So he complains that even with My Image Garden software, printed from Photoshop, printed from Aperture, and endlessly futz with settings on all of them, and it is an exercise in complete frustration. On rare occasions, it has produced a very nice black and white image, but that is little consolation. Gee, I wonder how he managed to do that. The bitterly poor results from the Pro 10 are doubly gallon, I don't know how to pronounce that, since I've had good luck with other Canon printers. Really? And got this one to replace my aging Canon S9000, the best printer of all time. But I now see why Canon was offering hundreds of dollars in rebates and gift cards to unload them. No, they were not. The primary problem is color balance. The prints have a magenta cast, which I cannot dial out. A step too far and they turn yellow. Really? I thought the opposite of magenta was green. Well, anyway. Then there is the general lack of detail, a softness, which, once again, I cannot dial out. I didn't know you could dial out fuzziness. Wow. The images are from cameras with 12 to 24 megapixel and are printed from JPEG. What a disaster. Most of my like-minded advanced amateur friends are getting better results from Costco than I can from this printer. If you are looking for quality and usability in a wide carriage printer, I strongly suggest searching elsewhere. And he gave it 1 star, which is the minimum you can give. All right, so now I got to find a response because, gosh, I wish I could have found that today. It was actually locked today. So the guy beat me to it. All right, and here's a post from a woman. Has nothing to do with the price of beans, but it's a woman, Stephanie B. Stephan or something like that. Sorry, but your review lacks all credibility. When you say the primary problem is color balance, the prints have a magenta cast which I cannot dial out. A step too far and they turn yellow. You show to everyone that you have no idea what you are talking about. If you had a valid printing workflow, you wouldn't have to dial anything. That is not how one gets color fidelity on a print, nor on a screen for that matter. Yep, that's what happens often. And this is why I keep warning you guys and keep telling you, are you sure you want to get into this? Because once you get into it and you invest that money, you have to then invest the time and effort to learn the proper workflow. This guy obviously does not. I don't know what the heck he's doing. Even when he tries to explain what he's doing, it makes no sense because he's not using the correct language, correct terminology. It's very difficult for those of us who kind of know a little bit more to even understand what it is he's saying. So here's my recommendation. You guys that are just entering the game, take your time. The printers that are being put out today are outstanding. They make those printers 10 years ago look like garbage. Okay. Now, the build quality may not be as heavy and better than the previous models, but the output that these printers can produce is magnificent, and you just have to know how to use them. He never said what inks he was using. He never said anything about his workflow that he was dialing in. That means he's not using a color managed workflow. If you have to dial in anything, then you're not really using a color managed workflow. You do not have to dial anything in. I'll repeat that over and over and over. Once you have a properly good working profile, and again, not all profiles are the same, you should be able to just load that profile, soft-proof your image through that profile, and when you hit print, it should look just like you see it on your monitor. Assuming, of course, and I'll repeat this until I am, dry in the mouth. Calibrate your monitor if you're going to edit your images, and most of us, 99% of us, are going to edit our images. So you need to calibrate your monitor. How do you do that? You have to buy a monitor calibrator, and they run as little as $120, $130 for a very basic unit from X-Rite to several $1,000s, one that also produce excellent paper profiles. Secondly, make sure that you're working in the correct color space. If you have any questions, just set your Photoshop to sRGB. If you're using Lightroom and you're using RAW files, Lightroom just operates basically on so-called Pro Photo RGB, a pseudo version of ProPhoto RGB. It's basically just using your raw image information and editing it from there, and it's not really converting anything to another format. Once you send it to the printer, it gets converted to sRGB anyway, and the printer will be able to print most of it. No printer can produce or reproduce anything larger than sRGB anyway. So thirdly, make sure that if you choose to use a color managed workflow, that you turn off color matching in Canon printers, or color handling, or whatever it's worded as, because it's different in several drivers for Epsons. And so make sure that you have either one entity managing color or the other entity, not both entities. Otherwise, you will get double profiling. Macintosh users, that's handled automatically for you. If you tell Lightroom to control color, then it will turn off color handling in the printer driver. The same thing happens for Epson. But for us Windows users, we need to manually turn it off. So make sure you do that. The results, if you're using OEM inks, OEM paper, in a good printer like the P800, for instance, and you're printing out of Photoshop, out of Lightroom, your monitor is calibrated, what could go wrong? The only thing that could go wrong is user error. Usually we make mistakes and we use a different setting or whatever, something that will actually cause a problem, and it's not due to the actual hardware itself. It's due to us, the operators. So that is it. This really made me laugh a little bit, actually. No wonder they locked it today, because it was going to get out of hand. And this person came in, dropped that little bomb, and took off. And that was like almost a year ago. And somebody decided to actually answer it today, and I think the moderator caught it and just said, forget it. That's it, we're going to lock this. In other words, we don't want a little flame war to be launched. That's not fun. All right, so tomorrow the inks are coming, okay? Tomorrow afternoon. So by tomorrow night, I'll have these loaded up and we'll begin testing. Also, I'm going to do a video on how to use advanced black and white, and I'm going to go ahead and compare it to using regular printing workflow, okay, without using advanced black and white. When you use advanced black and white, you cannot use a color managed type workflow, say using an ICC profile. You have to basically let the printer handle color and then use advanced black and white, and just send your RGB converted to black and white image to it, and then choosing various choices that you can actually dial in. And basically, I think it's neutral, dark, lighter, something like that. We'll go ahead and explore that, look at the computer while I am setting that up, and then we'll come back and we'll do it on the P800 and on some matte paper that I have loaded. We'll run a series of images at different settings, and they'll all come out in one long stretch of paper, and we'll cut them up and look at them and examine the results to see what is the best way to print black and white. I do not use it often. I've used it occasionally, but we'll go ahead and explore it anyway, because I know people really want to know about it. So we will see. Okay, thanks once again. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And as always, happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.